beautiful day like today. Good to see everybody. And I hereby call this workshop to order at this time. We've got some discussions that we want to talk about. We have the American Rescue Plan on the agenda, but the final rule has not been published, so we have no updates on it at this time. We will leave it open until October to talk about it, but we're finding out Jessica's on conference calls all the time, and I don't know exactly if they know what they're doing or not. Jess, do you? I mean, we've been to some meetings on it, and they don't even know. But anyway, we'll keep you informed on that as it comes up. Jessica's going to review the International Economic Development Conference. Nashville is hosting in October, and how Sweetwater is going to play a role in that. Jessica?
So Nashville gets to host the International Economic Development Annual Conference this year. They have asked me to speak about Sweetwater at that conference, which is pretty cool. I just want to kind of tell you the backstory. And I'm always interested in how they find out about Sweetwater and why they want us to do something for it, so I wanted to share that with you all. The same girl that asked me to speak at the governor's conference several years ago, Wisty Pender, she is the state of Tennessee director for business entrepreneurship and research. So they asked her to submit multiple proposals, and I think she submitted 4 or 5 different proposals for this last January. And one of her proposals had us talking about Sweetwater in it, and she asked me if I'd be interested in being part of that panel, and I said, of course, and kind of forgot about it until she called me in August and said that that class was selected. And the session is about how you create a culture of opportunity. And her panel is made up of one nonprofit in Jackson, one nonprofit in Nashville that is, their main purpose is to try and get Black-owned businesses up and started. So they're trying, there's a diversity element in that. And then one nonprofit in Chattanooga, and, Tennessee Wesleyan University. So they can talk about their entrepreneurship group. And then one city. And the only city they asked in the state of Tennessee to be on that panel was Sweetwater. So I wanted you all to know that. I wanted you to know that sometimes things we do years ago end up, having ripples and repercussions years later. So Monday night after our board meeting, I will leave and drive to Nashville and speak at that panel like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then drive back home again. Part of it will be recorded, so I may be able to get you copies of that session if you want to see it. But there's like 1,500 people registered for the conference right now, so it's a great platform for us to get to talk about what our little town has done. One of the projects that we're talking about is the business incubator that was inside Sam Bosher's building. So once again, we're going to get to talk about that project and how it developed so many businesses and how much gross sales tax was generated for our city by that project. We get to talk about the mural that was painted downtown, all of the placemaking stuff that we've been doing in Sweetwater. The grants that you all funded by giving that $9,000 or $10,000 that we had set aside from a previous grant that was unspent. When you gave that to Main Street for them to do sign and awning grants, that's part of this panel. So it's exciting. I am by far the least impressive person on that panel because those other women on that panel, they have got their stuff together. They are the best at what they do. But I get to put Sweetwater up there in front of all those people. So that's what that is.
Jessica, we're not worried about you.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Maybe I cut my teeth at the governor's conference. Poor Chuck had to suffer through that.
So you go over there and you represent Sweetwater, and we know you'll do a fine job. What pisses me off is some idiot put on Sweetwater, one of the worst. Did you all see that?
Yeah, billboards and straight to.
Well, they had a picture of Sweetwater Railroad track. Somebody put on there that we were one of the.
Was this person maybe a state of Tennessee department head or someone that has access to millions of dollars to give us? Then I don't care.
But anyway, I don't even understand it. But there was a lot of people come back with a lot of good comments that uplifted Sweetwater, and a few even said, if you don't like it, move.
That's why I left that up there and didn't take it down, because commented on it were telling about how untrue that
Yeah.
article was. I don't remember who it was.
It's
It was on Facebook, so it's not real, right, Sam?
We will keep accentuating the positive and won't worry about the negative because it'll take care of itself.
It's some negative person.
This presentation that Jessica is making is all we need.
Well, it still pisses me off.
Well, accentuate the positive and forget about the negative.
I thought if you had a name, we could, wow, I gotta go out to the road grader. We just grade the street up around your house.
I'll bet you anything they go outside the city.
No, it was a non-profit organization, some data collection fit. Anybody know?
Well, I heard it was, this came up a few years ago too, and I did a little checking on it, and it's people that don't want people moving to East Tennessee, like from New York, California, Illinois, Chicago, in that area. And what they do, people are moving here and leaving that area, and they're putting the places they're moving to mostly, and Sweetwater is one of the places that's hot right now. And I heard that's what it was all about several years ago. Same thing happened. But anyway.
You said that in today's news, West Virginia is the #1 state for people leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Finally, we have to address the COVID day policy. Jessica's going to let us know what the current policy is and what options we have moving forward as the federal days expire on September the 20th. So you want to explain that to us?
So we had passed a resolution back last January saying in case the federal government doesn't extend this, we're going to extend it for the employees through June. Well, the federal government ended up extending it. It goes through the end of September. So what I have drafted, the third page in your packet, is a resolution that would extend it temporarily through December. It also adds another 10 days of availability. Now, we can check, this is 100% within our own ability. So, one, we're not going to vote on this till October, but I mean, we have a few options here. One, we can do nothing, let all the days expire September 30th, and anyone that tests positive for corona after September 30th has to use their sick days. So it's not that they're going to go without pay, it's just that they're going to have to use their personal sick days for it. So that's one option. Your second option is to adopt the resolution. We can make any changes to it that we want. We can say we're not going to add 10 more days. The only reason I put the 10 days in there is I talked to some of the department heads. Nobody really felt like that was going to be a burden. As long as we put a qualification in there, which this is different too, that the positive test had to be inside the household. So if somebody they came into contact with that doesn't live with them tests positive for COVID, they don't use COVID days for that. It's only if someone in their household tests positive. Then they have the option of an extra 10 days if they've already used their 14. Because of the way this has changed over the last year and a half, there were times last year when people would have to use COVID days because we were waiting a week to get results. That's not as bad a problem now, so most of the time they're not using as many COVID days. We have some employees who haven't used the first COVID day yet, so they still have their original 14 days. So the reason I picked 10 days is because that's what the city school system decided to do. They decided to add 10 days and extend it till the end of December, so I was just trying to kind of have some kind of continuity with them. But you all just kind of tell me if you want me to change this resolution, how you feel about it. We'll put it on the October agenda for action so we have time to think about it. We don't have to decide tonight, but if there's any point of views that you all want to get out tonight, if you want to tell me I'm way off base and you don't want to add any more days, and we can even just say the original 14 days are extended through December, and if people have already used them, then they have to use their own sick days. So whatever y'all feel about this, there is no federal mandate on it. We don't have to extend it. We don't have to do anything.
Well, you know, this thing's coming back around, and it's worse now than it was before, it seems like to me. Does anybody have any objections to adding 10 more days? For the people like one of Tim's men, who was it?
I can't say.
If
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. But anyway, one of his men had it. And he's been all around it, inside the department. Think about it, see what you come up with, and we'll vote on it in October.
If anybody has a different draft, they can
If I
just
have
tell me.
any
and I'll
questions.
redraft it.
I don't have a problem with it as long as we do have that qualification on there.
But anyway, we'll bring that up in October, so is it okay to put that on the agenda? Any objections to that? Okay. We'll put it on the agenda. On the agenda, we have minutes and distributions that will be read. We will have ordinance number 922 on first reading for rules of the road. Jess?
This kind of affects Eddie's department too. So I get to be the court clerk now that Shannon has retired, and Wednesday I'm going to a class to learn how to do that. But one of the things that I have learned so far is that there are a couple of things that we have the ability to write city tickets for that are state laws that have passed in the last few years that we haven't updated our code for yet. So this rules of the road ordinance, MTAS sent it to me and told me if we adopt it as it is, that we will then be able to write tickets for those citations too. So it's basically saying everything that the state says that we as a municipal court are allowed to write tickets for, this is lining up with what the state code is on that. So we just need to pass that so we can have a report like we need it.
And this includes what we've been talking about, I assume, with these loud cars and things like that.
That is one of the things that's in there, yes.
That we, Eddie, now we can definitely take action on it and bring it to court, and under the rules, the judge will have to act on that.
Yes, I don't have one.
Any questions? Okay, coming up, we have a request to consider raising the credit card limit.
What is the limit now?
It's $10,000. We haven't raised it since we got the credit card about 10 years ago, so we have a citywide limit of $10,000. And now that we're doing the library's purchasing too, they purchase a lot of books from Amazon. At the end of the year, when they do their book purchase, that can be several $1,000s from their budget. So if I've got one piece of equipment ordered that's $6,000 or $7,000, and that means the fire department can't order fire prevention stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's been an issue these last few months because we've had a balance on there. If you all don't want to increase the credit limit, and I haven't asked the bank yet, I haven't even applied to do this yet because I want you all's approval before I do that. If you say yes, then we'll increase the credit limit. I'll then apply to the bank and see what we qualify for, and we can set it at a lower amount or just see what they'll do. But my other solution is I could pay the credit card twice a month instead of just paying it once a month with the statement. That's a little harder because it means you're having to find a cutoff point some random time in the middle of the month and making a payment on it. But I mean, either way, we're going to make it work so that the department heads don't have to be told, no, I can't buy you that thing. Obviously, we're doing a lot more online purchasing now than we were even 2 years ago because so many things are either back ordered or not available locally, or we're just having to buy it online. So pretty much every department has to use the credit card.
Well, that's what everybody uses. What limit would you think would be?
I mean, we've never had a month where we needed more than 20,000. That could change, but I mean, right now that would be plenty of limit. Usually it's like we're right around 10,000 and we need to buy something for $1,000. Like usually it is around the $10,000 limit. It's just we've already got that much on the card. We can't do any more. I think 15. Well, say 20, so we don't have to do this again in 2 years. But I would say $20,000 is plenty big enough limit. And to put it in perspective, we have an $8 million budget. So you're talking about $400,000 to $500,000 a month is being spent, and $10,000 of that is on the credit card. So it's still, we are cutting checks, obviously your distributions every month, for the vast majority of our purchases. It's just some things we can't get here and we have to order online.
Any questions or comments? Do we need to give you the go-ahead tonight to see what the bank would?
That'd be fine. I could just ask them, what they would, and then y'all can say we don't want to do it that high, or this is the amount we're more comfortable with.
And we can put that on the October agenda with the amount the bank says will be.
If I can get an answer back from them, and if not, we'll just table it to the workshop.
What bank has got control of the credit card?
It's Capstar, it's the one we have our general checking account with. I think it's a third party that does the card for them, so I think it'll be that third party that's making the decision, but I can go online and just request an increase and see what they approve.
Okay. Finally, we will have ordinance number 933 that was sent from the Planning Commission. This ordinance adds a new residential zoning code. The Planning Commission has been working hard. We know that there's going to be subdivisions that's coming in. Chuck has really worked hard with the Planning Commission, making sure that when they come in, we'll be prepared for the rules and regulations of that subdivision. And Chuck, you want to go over that?
I sure can. So what we've developed, and this has been about a 3 or 4 month process. The Planning Commission took some field trips. We went to see other subdivisions, talked about things like how close homes were, amenities like sidewalks, a big discussion. And so out of all that, the Planning Commission has decided to pass on to City Council the establishment of an R4 high-density urban residential district. The reason for this is most new subdivisions nowadays, they're building their houses a lot closer together to get a tighter density. And I've shared this with the Planning Commission, my own personal opinion is I don't want to see every hillside in Sweetwater built this way, but I do think we need to be mindful that this is kind of the way some of these subdivisions are going to start being built, especially in the housing market we're in. In the homes and Ridgeland Farms that are being built, all 13 of those are already pre-sold and they're not built yet. 7 out of the 13 are coming from California. And I talked to the gentleman today who's over the site, and he was explaining it's not just retirees, it's families. One couple has got 3 kids. They plan on investing in this area. They're already building in Loudon. They already have some subdivisions in Athens. The zoning that we will be presenting it mirrors in a lot of ways the zoning that is already established in Loudon and Athens. We took some of those things, but then we also tweaked it just a little bit so that we're comfortable with it here in Sweetwater. One of the tweaks was adding a little more space between 2-story homes, as opposed to what Loudon and Athens do. And also the size of the lots is just a little bit bigger than what they require. We limited what's allowed in the zone as far as mobile home parks. We struck that out of that zoning. So what you have in front of you, or may have in front of you, is the high density urban residential zoning regulations that we'll be presenting. The Planning Commission has passed on to present to you as a City Council for establishment.
Any questions?
Where's the one in Loudon located at?
They have one that's similar to it actually up behind the hotel there that's on the, just off the interstate. Yeah.
If you're coming south,
Yeah.
to your left. you can see it.
The Planning Commission took a trip to Knoxville because it was there was about 4 or 5 that are really close together that we could get to. And that's where we saw those. But there's 2 of these in Lenore City that are being built right now. One in Loudon. There's one proposed in Athens. And basically along 75 and in Cleveland too, it's kind of the people want to live closer to the interstate and they're not really interested in maybe a big yard or something. They're just interested in having a nice home that they can jump out on the road and go to work either in maybe Knoxville, Chattanooga, or here.
Chuck, in that rezoning and in the codes for that, is there anything for fire resistant siding on where they're packed in there together to type?
One other question, Chuck. Going back to Levy's here, I was going to ask this question. What is the zoning for Willow Creek?
Willow Creek is established as a traditional neighborhood development. So it's actually established as an overall development. You got commercial, multifamily as well as single family. But the homes there, the single family homes, are all a 5-foot setback on each one of those homes. And on a single story, what we're proposing in this zone, on a single story home, the 5-foot setback, which would be a total of 10 feet between the two homes, would be okay. But at a 2-story, planning commission raised that to 7.5 feet, which would be a total of 15 feet. And then 3-story is even more.
Okay, any objections to put this on the agenda for October? Okay, it'll be on the agenda, yes, so we'll take it up there. Okay, anything else in the way of business before the workshop? I hope you've all seen the outdoor fitness court. People are talking about it. I think it's going to be something that we'll be proud of. I'm really proud of the way that it's working out. I want to thank the Park and Rec staff, the street department for helping with the project, not only over there, but up at Eagle Park. Richard, thank you. And Buster for the sidewalk. Tim, you looks good.
They did a good job.
Really good job. Thank you for that. That's what, when we all work together, things happen, don't it? That's what makes it work. The grand opening is going to be October 8th at noon. So get all your staff and we'll have a big grand opening. A reminder, the Alabama-Mississippi State Rural Tourism Conference will be here at Sweetwater. It's going to be a big week between October 18th and October the 20th. And as far as Jess knows, she has written down, it is already the largest number of registrations in this conference in the history of the conference. That's pretty big for a little town. That's number 5 on the list of the worst places to live. That's pretty good. We already excited about that. It's going to be a big week, and I know there's going to be, from what I understand, it's going to be the First Lady is going to be here, maybe even the Governor, but we're pretty sure the First Lady of Tennessee is going to be here along with other dignitaries. And going to be a lot of people in Sweetwater that's never been here before. And it's going to be at First Baptist Church, Methodist Church, First Methodist Church. And it'll last about what? Daytime. Will it be an all-day thing?
We have things from 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night.
8 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, so we find time to get there. And anyway, well, thank you for making this happen. Jessica, you and all the girls. We will have some vital contacts coming to Sweetwater, including those who serve on grant review committees and commissioners over various state departments. That's who I want to talk to, some of these people. We're working hard to put the conference together. Everyone from the litter control lady downtown to the businesses, hotels, landscaping has been prepared, making Sweetwater look great. Pidge has put out the decorations all around town. Several other cities have been calling Sweetwater the number 5 worst town in the world to live in, to want to know how we got this conference in Sweetwater, Tennessee. How did you do it? I don't know. I still have calls from people that want to know how we passed a sales tax in Sweetwater, what, 10 years ago? Has it been that long? And how did you all do that? We can't get nothing passed. Well, you got to sell it. And that's what we try to do. Everybody has worked hard on this. It's going to be a special time, and I know we'll all enjoy it. Okay. Two other things, really. We went and 2 weeks ago, Sammy, we went to Little City, received an award for community enhancement or development. Some of the things that was done, got a nice reception, got to meet a lot of people. I was bragging about Sweetwater. They had a thing up on the wall that showed Sweetwater and what Sweetwater was, and then we had the presentation of how we got this award. So a special time for Sweetwater. Got a nice little plaque, had her pictures took. But they know about Sweetwater, I assure you of that, all over East Tennessee. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, TMI, we will have a conference call, and you're invited at 11 o'clock. And I think we can have it in here, right? Where Mike Mantal, is Swan Freed going to be involved in any way? Wayne Key, and right, this will be what we're going to pursue, the next step that we're going to take, and go from there. That'll be at 11 o'clock in the morning, and everyone is invited. Oh, flu shots tomorrow, 11 till 1 here. So, you gonna take yours, Buster? I have to. Get that flu shot. Thank you for being here tonight, Eddie.
Yeah, I got one thing, if I could, I don't know if this is time to bring it up, I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. I've talked to John, fire chief, about it, I've talked to the hospital, health department, we'll cancel a national night out event. We've rescheduled it, postponed it to October, and with all the COVID and everything going on, we're not going to be happy this year. We are, just where people don't think we're not doing anything, as long as the fire department's got their fire prevention week in school, we follow it up the next week with Red Ribbon Week, and then we're going to do a parade for the schools, go around the schools. We're still going to do small events like that. It's just not advised at this time to hold a big gathering like that. But we'll have a big kickoff next year when we're going strong.
All right. Anything else? Can you say anything about the fire?
Hush!
John?
Hush!
I just wondered how those tires was coming.
Cars look good.
Okay. Nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you. What's the
Can't do no match on that.